Why I think you were about to proceed to the next witness?
My Lord, before we proceed with Mr. Webber, I understand that the State wishes to hand up an exhibit.
All right. Let's do that. Bosman, you got something for us?
May it please you, my Lord, we would like to hand up the projectile, which was obtained from Mr. Benning. However, the expert testifying regarding that exhibit will only be present on Monday, and we therefore request that we retain it in police custody until Monday, when we will hand it up as an exhibit, which will be Exhibit 1.
Yes, I think it's sensible. Let's do that. We can deal with it then on Monday.
Thank you.
And the witness is here.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bali, let me get back to you.
As the court pleases.
Yeah.
Lord, with the leave of the court, we'd like to call up our next witness, who's Mr. Carl Andrew Webber.
Thank you. Mr. Weber.
So, state your full names for the court, please.
Carl Andrew Weber.
Thank you. Do you have any objection with taking that off?
No.
Do you consider that with finding on your conscience?
No. Yes.
Do you say that the evidence you will give in front of the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
What did you do?
Please say so. Thank
you.
What does it do?
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Weber. Yeah, please,
Thank you.
be seated.
Thanks.
Mr. Bali.
As the court pleases. Mr. Webber, as we mentioned with Mr. Belling, today is an important day because we're going to ask you to recount those horrific experiences that you went through during the course of the Highgate Hotel Massacre on the fateful evening of 1st of May 1993. And we will, of course, accommodate you to the best of our ability. Should you need a break or a pause, you simply have to indicate that to the court.
Thank you.
Before we begin, I'd like you to confirm statements that you have made. I understand that on the 7th of May 1993, you made a statement to the South African police, although given your condition at the time, you were unable to sign it and your mother signed it on your behalf.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And my Lord, that statement appears in two places in the record. It's Exhibit B of the witness bundle, pages 1 to 4.
B or B?
Sorry, B.
B.
Yeah.
What are the pages, Mr. Bali?
1 to 4.
1 to 4. All right.
And then it's also annexed as Annex A in Exhibit C. And that's at pages 55 to 58. And then, Mr. Weber, you made a more recent statement to your attorneys, Cliff Decker Hofmeyer, on the 24th of January 2025. You also confirm that you made that statement?
That's correct.
And my Lord, that's the statement in Exhibit C at pages 46. 46 to 54.
Very well.
So, Mr. Webber, if I can take you back in time, I'd like you to describe to the court the kind of life you were leading before that fateful day in 1st of May of 1993. What kind of life were you leading? What kind of work were you doing?
I was employed by the SPCA in East London as a senior inspector. My job was to visit the abattoirs, the game farms and the circuses when they came to town. So what actually happened is I would go around to the places and do an inspection and then come back and put a report in. I was also involved with talking to schools, explaining how employment of my job was. I was very active at that time because I used to sort of inspect cattle trucks when they came through from other sort of provinces to offload the cattle. And I was employed for the SPCA for plus minus 13 years, up until the shooting of the 1st of May, 1993. So,
What was there, Mr. Will? You were employed for what period, sorry?
for the SPCA
At that stage?
for 13 years.
13 years.
Yes,
All right, thank you. All right, I'm just trying to keep up with you.
thank you. I'll try and be slower.
All right, thanks.
So, yes, I had to go on special courses to qualify for being an inspector for the SPCA. Which the first course was a junior course, and then the second course 6 months later or 8 months later was a senior inspector, where you had to qualify to have a certain grade to do this type of work. So you also called to court to prosecute people if there was any cruelty involved in animals. So at that time also I used to travel a lot, sort of out of town, and visit the Eastern Cape. So my job was to do inspections, not just in the border area, but as far as field as Port Elizabeth, Grahamstown, and all the smaller towns like Alresford, Beaufort, right up to Kirkwood.
So, were you leading what might be described as a full and an active life, even outside of your work?
Yes, I was. I was actually living on the premise of the SPCA, so I had to work sort of 1 week, and then I had to be on call, standby. So I was not working, I was active. I used to go and play darts, I used to play a lot of snooker, I used to play a little bit of soccer with friends as well. And I used to go sort of to the beach every now and then. So I was very active at that age, yeah.
Right. And then, can you explain to the court how it was that you ended up at the Highgate Hotel that fateful evening?
Okay, what actually, Dougie Gates was a colleague that worked with me, and he was from the National Council, SPCA in Joburg. So he'd come down every now and then, and he would do inspections together. But that specific night he was in Cape Town, I think visiting his daughter, but he had to come to East London on the Saturday to pick up a vehicle on the Sunday, and then depart from Sunday to the Eastern Cape to do the abattoirs. I was instructed from the manager at the SPCA that day to take a company vehicle, seeing that I lived on the premises, and to pick Dougie up at the airport. So in the evening, around about, it could have been about 8 o'clock, I then collected Megan Barcher and I collected Doreen Rousseau. I picked them up and we worked our way towards the airport. And when we got there, the plane was delayed, so we had to sit and wait for a while. I think it was the last flight in from Cape Town, which could have been about 8:45, somewhere around there. So while waiting there, we sat there and waited for Dougie, and the plane arrived, and we all went down. We had to book him in at the hotel, which was then the Dolphin Hotel in Nahoon. We then departed from the East London Airport and we worked our way down to the Dolphin Hotel. We booked him in and we sat around in the dining room with the two colleagues of us. The four of us were all the colleagues at the SPCA. We sat down and had a cup of coffee, and while we were sitting there having the coffee, we opened the the sugar jar, and it was covered in ants. So we decided to leave there, booked Dougie in, and off we went. We then decided, seeing that I stayed a few kilometers up from the Highgate Hotel, and I was a regular at the Highgate Hotel, so I knew everybody quite well. And we thought, well, this would be the easiest to stop at the Highgate, which is a few kilometers from the SPCA, and then let Dougie drop me off after that, where it was. We stopped there, parked the car in the parking lot, about a few meters from the main entrance to the ladies' bar before you go up the steps. Parked the car there. We all got out the car, walked up towards the steps. We turned into the left bar on the left-hand side, and there were quite a few people sitting there at that time of the evening. But we managed to find
Still the four of you.
still the four of
Still the
us.
four of you.
No, we entered the ladies' bar and it was full where the seating was at the bar. So there was a little table on the left-hand side which seated 3 people, which was sort of close to the wall where the dining room was at the below where you walk down the steps. Megan sat down and Doreen sat down, and I stood sort of facing the right-hand side towards the window, not where the door was. Dougie was standing, you could see to the left, to the right, so you could see the door as well and where we were sitting. I then went to the bar, ordered a drink for us, and as I got back, we heard something that sounded like crackers, which obviously could have been the shooting from the men's bar. But before we could look again, we put the drink down, and as I turned around, I could see this guy standing by the door. But then the lights went out. I don't know if anything was shot in the pub or the lights were switched off or whatever happened, but the lights went out. But in the background, in the passageway, there was a light on. So you could see the guy standing there with a ski balaclava on. And the first thing that caught my eyes was that he had these blue sort of police boots that they used to wear, I don't know, it was like a material type of boot that they used to wear in the police. The reason why I recognize that is because when I worked for the SPCA, they used to help us a lot when we had to escort cattle trucks in from the Transkei to have them offloaded at the abattoirs. And I can remember the guys up in the right unit where used to wear those boots.
So the guys in the riot unit.
Yeah, yes, sir. As we turned around, I'd already faced the door and the guy was standing there. And someone shouted, "Get down." But I don't think at that stage we had all hit the ground straight away. My focus was on the guy at the door, and I could see everybody just shouted, "Fall flat." So, being in the National Service for 2 years and doing my army training in Potchefstroom in artillery, that was sort of a basic instinct for me, was just to fall down. And I think everybody had fallen down already. I was a few meters from the guy, maybe 5, 6 meters. But when I fell down, my view on this guy was at the door all the time. I didn't think at that time I was shot, because I could still move around, but I could see him standing at the door and I could see him holding, which I described as an AK-47 in my statement, and he just kept on firing. And what the strange thing about this is if he had loaded a magazine and had emptied the one magazine, I think I would have noticed that he was busy reloading. But what caught my eyes, I think the magazines were taped, because this was an automatic firearm, and it just kept on shooting. So I don't think there was any time to a single magazine and reload again. It just kept on going. While I was lying there, I could just smell this blood smell from people that were lying there. And I turned around, and Doreen was lying next to me. And I could see she had a huge hole in her, I think it was her left leg, I could be wrong. So I crawled up to her, stuck my elbow in there to stop the bleeding. And after all that, I was lying there, and I could hear something rolling towards me. And it went, and I could see it coming towards me because I was lying like a bend, right by where you put your foot on those metal foot pedals. And it rolled towards me, and then it set out the tear gas. And I know the sound of tear gas, and I know the smell of tear gas. And it was a very strong type of powder. I don't think it was the normal tear gas canisters the guys use. And I could still remember everything. And the guy was still standing at the door. But I think when he realized there were a few people moving, I think he kept on shooting again and sort of maybe emptied another magazine. And then I sort of prayed, and I just wasn't there for a couple of seconds. And everything was quiet, and I came back to where I was, and everything had stopped. And I then realized what had happened, that people were massacred in this bar. And there was no getaway in the bar because it was so small, and it had plus minus 13 people in there. So there was no way to escape except the door the guy came out. We were standing by the door facing us. That was the only door we could go out. And one was a bit scared to go out because you didn't know if he was still standing there or they were outside in the car park. But we all just lay still. I didn't then realize that amongst me were 5, 6 dead bodies, or 4 or 5. Didn't realize that. And while I was lying there, these 2 guys came into the bar, Mark Bush and Stephen. They were approximately 70 meters from where they stayed to the Highgate hotel. They heard the shooting, came in there, and they asked me if I was okay. And I said, I can't move. I don't know what's happened to me. I said, just take all my clothes off. And they stripped me, lay there in my underpants. And there was no, at the time when this happened, there was no police cars there. The only people that were first on the scene were the fire brigade because they were equipped with gas masks. So no one could come in there. And yes, I was carried out in a stretcher and put into the ambulance. I don't remember from there for the next 3 or 4 days.
If we can just go back to your recollection of the gunman. Firstly, your evidence suggests that it was only one gunman who fired into the ladies' bar.
That's correct.
And you mentioned that this gunman was wearing a balaclava, meaning his face was covered.
His whole face was covered and just the eyes were open.
Do you recall the kind of attire, clothing that he was wearing?
Well, it was dark clothes. I couldn't identify them if they were black or brown, but they standing in the entrance there, they were dark clothes. Only that caught my eyes, I said, was the combat boots he had on. And there was no rush. I mean, this guy wasn't in a hurry. He stood there thinking that if he shot a bar up, he'd sort of disappear as quick as possible. But I think the intentions was to kill everybody inside there. And to this day, I don't think he, or whoever it was, the culprits, is that they never expected survivors to testify and tell our story.
You could see his hands on the automatic rifle.
He had gloves on.
He had gloves on.
So he was holding the AK-47, yeah.
Right. And you mentioned that the boots looked like blue police boots?
It was those blue, it was like a, not leather, it's like a clothy type of boots that the guys used to wear.
Sort of a canvas.
A canvas, yes, you're right,
Comes
Judge.
off a bit on the-
That's right.
on the leg.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to check from your statement whether anything arises. You mentioned that the magazine had a tape around it. Did you surmise it was taped, or did you see the tape?
I think I saw them together when I looked. I was very near the guy, so as I saw about 6 meters, and my focus was in him all the time. It looked like they were two magazines together.
I see.
Yes.
Do you perchance recall the colour of the tape?
No.
You mentioned in your May 93 statement that when the attack suddenly stopped, my lord, this is at paragraph 12 of the first statement. The attack suddenly stopped, and I then looked up and saw that the attacker appeared to be folding up the butt of the AK-47, which he then slung over his shoulder.
He was standing there, and it looked like he was folding something over and he slung it over his shoulders. But as I say, there was no rush in anything, so it was like a slow motion. It appeared to me what he was doing. That's how it looked like to me when I had my eyes fixed on him all the time until he disappeared.
Looking back, with the benefit of hindsight, were you surprised that he did not seem to be in a rush?
You know, I thought something like that in a small area where you open up fire with AK-47, I think one would do it in a rush and then escape as soon as possible. But this guy didn't seem to be in a hurry. He just stood there again, and I think he reloaded and just carried on shooting. I mean, with all the people lying there, obviously thought everybody was dead, and hoping that whoever lying there wasn't dead, they'd finish them off.
Especially if it's in a built-up area.
Yes, sir.
You said that those two gentlemen that came, they lived, you say a matter of meters further?
70 meters.
70 meters from the... So the houses were right there around the hotel.
Exactly. I mean, people heard the gunfire right up to the Cambridge Spa with this happening. I know friends of mine that stayed there and they could hear the shooting from there.
You say that just took his time.
Yes, he took his time.
Fired.
Yeah. I think he just tried to kill us all.
But the point is, I mean, as you say, one would expect in that setting,
Yes.
that you'd expect somebody to rush in,
Exactly.
shoot while you rush off to escape being apprehended.
Yes, you're right, Richard.
But it's not that scenario.
No.
It was somebody who's taking his time
Professional.
to finish these people off.
Exactly.
Mr. Webber, in your 93 statement, I know this is at paragraph 6, you mentioned that prior to hearing automatic gunfire, you heard an explosion coming from an undetermined position. Do you now have a sense of where that explosion took place?
I would refer that to the tear gas canister.
Well, in fact, it it seems as if the tear gas canister release happened a little later,
Yes,
at least according to your 93 statement.
yes.
Well, perhaps I should put it to you. There was a grenade explosion in the men's bar. Could you possibly have been hearing that explosion from the ladies' bar?
I think the noise I heard with all the gunfire going on in that small space, with your hearing wasn't too good. And I think the noise we heard could have been when the electricity power went out in the bar that made a huge noise.
Right. And then later in your statement at paragraph 14, this is now after the attack had stopped and the attacker had backed out of the bar entrance. You say paragraph 13, the attacker then backed out of the bar entrance whilst keeping his attention focused on the interior of the ladies' bar. And then at paragraph 14, I then smelt and felt the sting of tear gas which had drifted into the ladies' bar. Did you try to work out why it was that tear gas was thrown into the ladies' bar at that time?
The first thing that went through my mind was that this thing that was rolling towards me was a hand grenade. It sort of made a rolling noise towards me, and that's the first thing that came to my mind was these guys are throwing a hand grenade in there, and that's when I sort of just prayed, and I didn't want to die. And when I came to, I then realized that I was choking and I couldn't breathe. I then realized it was tear gas at the time, not a hand grenade.
Did you think, looking back on the incident, that the tear gas might have been thrown in order to assist the assailant making a getaway?
Yes, I would say so. I think the tear gas was thrown in there so for the bar to be, for us not to see anything. So when the tear gas went off, it let off all the smoke, and I think that's where I decided to sort of back up and just disappear. But I did see him until the tear gas was thrown in here.
So you then indicate that at some point, perhaps you could just remind us when, you lost all recollection of what happened. At what point was that?
Yeah, I think that was before I was lying there, and that's when I just lost. That's when I prayed, and as I say, when I came to, that tear gas had been released and stuff like that.
Right.
But I did hear it coming. But that's, as I said, when I heard it coming, I prayed because I thought they had thrown a hand grenade in there. And that's when I just either just lost conscience and just wasn't there for a couple of minutes and came back, and the tear gas canister was the smoke.
And then you mentioned that two individuals who had heard the shooting came into the bar and attempted to assist you.
That's correct.
And then what happened thereafter?
I was put into, as I say, there were no stretchers. I mean, the people that came there weren't equipped with anything. They put me in a canvas sail and they carried me out to the ambulance. And that was the last. I woke up in ICU in the Free Hospital.
So you regained consciousness in the ITU. Was that after surgery or before?
Yes, I went in, and according to the statements, my arm was amputated 72 hours after the shooting. What happened is it had damaged my ulnar arteries and nerves. So I believe they're the two main arteries in your body. one of the two. And what happened is, that's when I woke up, not knowing at that stage what the injuries were like, that my arm was amputated, because I was moved from Free Hospital St. Dom's a couple of days after the shooting, when they came and took a statement from me at St. Dom's. I think that it could be in the 5th or the 7th.
Just before we get to that, do you recall the moment when you discovered that your arm had been amputated?
No, not at all.
And on the realization that you had lost your arm, what was the impact on you at that time?
Well, I don't mind showing you guys. It was shot just below the elbow. So they had amputated it from there, but the bullet went through both my arms. So I was in ICU for a couple of days, and I didn't realize what had happened to me. I think 7 days after that, I might have realized, but I still couldn't believe it. It's, been a young guy that had a future ahead of him. I couldn't come to terms with it.
Before we get to the investigation, can you talk more about the impact of that event on your life at that time and going forward over the years?
I was, after realizing what had happened, I had a plate put in here with 7 screws. I've had a pin put in my thumb, and I believe being shot through the ulnar nerve or the tendons affects your 2 fingers as well, which numbness to the fingers which I can't use. So it was a long rehabilitation. I couldn't do anything. My dignity was taken away from me. I was very embarrassed to be a man of 36 years old, and asked someone I went to the toilet to help me, to dress me, to feed me, to bath me, everything for 2 years. And still to present, I can't. If I want to have a steak at home or go out, I've got to take a scissors with me to cut the food up. So that's my life, how I live now. And I just didn't mention that I haven't got full use of this arm. I can't bend it, I can't get to here. So I've got 40% use of this arm. So it's a battle. As I say, still to this day, I think getting older, it's going to be more of a challenge. And I can't tie my shoelaces. I've got to wear open shoes, slops. I can't get into a bath because I can't get out. I haven't got the power to push on this arm. It can't straighten. So I've got to shower wherever I go. And it's embarrassing, even to go into a restaurant and ask people to help you to cut your food up. And to do things. And
Now, you mentioned that you had been an active and vigorous employee with the SPCA. What happened to your career thereafter?
Well, I was in rehabilitation for 2 years. I lost my job. I lost the house I was living in. I lost my car. I lost my relationship with my daughter. I lost everything. I lived on a 460 rand disability grant that I managed to get through legal resources, which they didn't want to give me because they classed me not as a disabled person, because I still got 1 arm and 2 legs. And it was a battle. At school I used to play rugby, I used to swim for the gala team at school, I used to be in the band, I was a Boy Scout. So it's just like to this day. You know, I can't. I tried my best to have a game of pool or play darts, but I haven't got the strength to even throw a dart into a dartboard. So I'm still sitting up with these challenges. You know, promises were made to help me along when I appeared before the TRC. They promised to adapt my car. They promised to give me an artificial arm. They promised to help me financial. I was paid out 2 insurances, which I paid out to get myself sort of 50% back on using this arm with a lot of work. I did join Kulumani Support Group in 2002 because I just needed some activity to be with other people that were in the same position and share our stories and try and sort of, yeah, and it's still a challenge today with living like this. It's still a challenge.
Did you apply for reparations through the TRC?
I did apply for reparations. They gave me an interim reparation while I had a private nurse looking after me for 7,500 rand. I think that lasted a month, if that. And then the final reparation came. The final reparation came, I think, a couple of months after that.
And that was just a once-off payment
30,000.
of 30,000.
Yes.
And of course, a once-off of 30,000, that's not going to go far.
No, it's never lasted. No, I was still trying to cope with what happened to me, and I was spending a lot of money on things I needed from rehab. My hand was in a splint like this for many months. All those little gadgets I had to buy out of the reparation money I got, and yeah, it never lasted long. Within months it was finished.
Now, following the attack, you clearly must have wondered, you know, who was behind this dastardly deed. What were you hearing, and what did you come to believe?
I think in those years, I would say the police were very quick to jump on us, not in our right mind. If I look at one of the statements there, they contradict the statement by saying I saw an X person, and then in the next statement they say I saw a person. I think it was on the 5th of May where they brought photographs to the hospital. Who in their right mind would think I would identify anybody on this sort of 8 or 10 photographs of African guys that they brought to me. But we were misled by saying that the PAC were involved in this attack, and it was sort of our own investigation is going along, putting the puzzle together, that we realized who could be behind this. We couldn't prove it, but yeah.
My Lord, we're about to deal with the investigation and who might have been behind the attack with this witness, but I see it's almost 11 a.m. The court wishes to take the short adjournment.
Take the morning adjournment, open adjournment.
As the court pleases. Mr. Webber, before we resume where we left off, my private investigator, retired Brigadier Marion, has indicated to me that there is some support for your assertion that more than one magazine was used on the night in question. My Lord, may I refer the court to the ballistics statement of Victor Jacobus van der Merwe, and that's at Exhibit D. page 72 to 76. And referring particularly to page 74, at the top of the page, where reference is made to cartridges that were collected on the scene, paragraphs 5.3 and 5.4. And before I enter that into the record, my Lord, I'm advised that a standard magazine for an AK-47 contains 30 rounds, and sometimes a slightly bigger magazine might have 40 rounds. So then if we look at the top of page 3 of that report, which is page 74 of that bundle, Mr. van der Merwe records that there were 56 cartridges found on the scene, and at 5.4 a further 17 cartridges, and these are 7.62 times 39mm caliber. My Lord, unfortunately it's not clear, the expert didn't indicate where in the hotel those were found, but certainly if one looks at the total number of cartridges found, it does exceed 30 as well as 40 by some margin. So that does tend to lend support from what Mr. Weber saw on the scene. So Mr. Weber, if we can now pick up where you left off this morning, and perhaps we can turn to your struggle for truth and justice in this matter. You've already mentioned to His Lordship that, at least in the beginning, you were under the impression that the individuals behind this attack was APLA, the Zanian People's Liberation Army, the military wing of the Pan-African Congress. And you mentioned in your statement that the Truth Commission tended to support that narrative. Can you explain what happened at the Truth Commission?
I was living in Amalinda at that time. I'm not sure, there was a gentleman by the name of Sandy. I'm not sure he was an advocate or lawyer that was on the commission of the TRC. And he used to pick me up every morning and take me to the hearings. And they did ask about the attack and all that. But the strange thing about all this is statements were given, and I don't think I ever heard from the TRC investigator officers again. Never. After I testified at the TRC. Never heard from them again. I attended a meeting with Alex Borain and them, somewhere just outside King Williamstown, promising us this and that, but I never heard from them, so yeah. But they did alert us that, who did we thought was behind the attack. We were the impressions that the PAC were involved in this attack. We didn't know any better at that time because we were misled, and we had so many investigating officers on our case that we didn't know who to believe anymore. And we look far back to 2006, we were already communicating with the MPA, and up until today. So,
Yes. And as you point out in paragraph 29 of your recent statement in January, the Truth Commission did make a finding against APLA, and we also know that they recorded in the final report that 2 APLA individuals applied for amnesty for the Highgate attack. And of course we know that that wasn't the case. They applied for amnesty for another incident.
correct. I was, I don't think Judge Potgieter remembers, I was summoned to appear in the Cambridge in a church for those 2 guys that were involved. that applied for amnesty at the PRC. And I think it's the same gentleman at the moment that's still in jail, if I'm correct.
You then mentioned in your January statement that you learned that one of the survivors had reached out to the APLA commander. Can you indicate who that was and what transpired thereafter?
I just named by Matlapa. We had a meeting with him years back. One of the meetings were at the Kenaway Hotel. He still signed a book and he gave it to me, and he said that they didn't operate like this. It was not there. They would get in and get out, and there was no choosing of weapons, which they used firearms that they could get ammunition from an army base where it was easy to get, but not an AK-47. He did explain to us how the operations were done with hijacking a car and everything else.
So you indicate that it was in fact Neville Baileng who testified yesterday that made the initial contact with Mr. Mtlalele. So what, after that exchange, did it change your view on what had taken place?
Definitely. Can I just mention something?
Please.
We became very close to the commander of the Uplock PAC. We even became PAC members and joined the PAC. This is how much trust we had in them, knowing that they were not behind the Highgate attack.
Thanks for advising the court of that. Clearly you must have been fully convinced, at least in your minds, that APLA wasn't behind that particular attack.
Another incident is we were very scared to go to the Highgate for our memorial service. We asked the police, we asked the municipality to come and cordon the area off. The only person that supplied us with bodyguards were the PAC, and they were there right through when we had our 10-year anniversary. They were the only people that would support us. No one from East London police, nobody.
Yes, I suppose there is some irony in that.
Exactly.
You then mentioned that in 2006 you reached out to Advocate Mtunzi Maga at the NPA. Why did you do that, and what transpired?
We thought that, at that stage we were really desperate to get behind this attack. He did meet us at the University of Fort Hare, and as Neville mentioned, that he sat with us, but he wasn't prepared to have a statement taken because he was scared he would be intimidated. And he just said, I can't be seen with you guys, and I can't be on TV, and that's what his words were. And in fact, I've got that letter that we had the meeting. It's a signed letter that we had a meeting with him. We suggested follow-ups quarterly, and just nothing happened.
And how did you feel after being told by an official from the NPA that he himself felt intimidated and scared to look into this matter?
Betrayed.
You state at paragraph 38 of your January statement that if you had known that no investigations would emerge from the TRC process, we would have instructed human rights lawyers immediately after the TRC had wound up to investigate. Do you have some regret in not taking that step back then?
Yes, I think there was just no help from anybody. I think these are one of the reasons I joined Kulumani, because they were supporting all the victims and spirals as well, and they were helping us to go forward with this, even although they were having a battle with NPA. At that time, if I can remember correctly, with Shirley Gunn, this was the same problem with the TRC.
So then, because you weren't getting any joy through the NPA or SAPS, you say that you started to work with a private investigator. Can you explain who that was and what transpired from that private investigation?
We did have a connection with Darryl Outs. He was a private investigator, and as it was mentioned, we paid him. He did go around trying to investigate and get in a few names.
And this Darryl Outs, was he formerly with the South African police?
I think at one stage he could have been with the Scorpions, if I'm speaking on correction here.
And in fact, you are probably aware that he was one of the investigating officers at an earlier stage.
Correct, yes.
So you mentioned that you and others raised a sum of 5,000 Rand, which you paid him. Why did you do that?
Well, he said he had some information that he'd follow up on for us, and we paid him the 5,000 Rand to travel down to Elizabeth and Cape Town to get information. Yeah.
And did anything come of his mission to Cape Town?
I wasn't sort of in communication with what he was, just heard about things, what him and Neville was saying. But I was under the impression this guy that I was speaking to was one of the guys he was going to see. Because when he came back and he mentioned he knew of the guys, the puzzle started fitting in. And we knew that he'd been to see this certain subject in Cape Town.
And can you disclose the name of this individual?
Okay, what actually happened is Christian Boerter was a private investigator that worked with Darryl. I knew, not well, but I knew of him. And he was on Facebook complaining about his post-traumatic stress that he was going through, and that all the work he was doing when he was a private investigator, the work he was doing with certain organizations or messing everything up. Excuse me. I then said to him, you're suffering post-traumatic stress. What about the Highgate victims? Do you know what we're going through? So he said, no, he's got no time to talk about that. He'll put me onto a guy. So he sent me the phone number and contact this guy, Alan Alston. And he said, I don't want to speak to you on Facebook. We'll speak on Messenger. I then contacted him and we had a chat with him. Well, I had a chat with him, and it carried on for maybe 3 days or so. And he kept on telling me who was involved in the shooting, and that he knew of 4 guys in Cape Town. And he said he got all this information from the intelligent people. And it carried on, and then it fell apart for a while, and then we contacted each other again, and he said he was sorry to hear that this was a mess up. Nothing was being done, and his exact words were, he says, it's not unfamiliar with the NPA that things like this get not investigated. And I think you've got the scripts of that and the information, and this is how I chatted with him. I fell away from him for a while because I think he did say he couldn't mention the guys' names because he said they hadn't been arrested yet and they haven't appeared in court, and it wasn't for him to do it. And here, when I tried to contact him again, there was no picture of him on the Facebook. And then I think he then started contacting other members of the group as well.
Did you get a sense of who Alan Elsden was, what he had, what position he held at that time or previously?
He did tell me he joined the police in 1973. He did tell me he was with the Crime Intelligence Service. He said he was in a Shakati with Eugene de Kock, and the exact words to me was Eugene de Kock's the biggest liar. And he then went to several places in the police, and I can't remember when he was born in East London. And then he said to me that he had left because he had now become a private investigator.
Right. And in paragraph 44 of your January statement, Lord, that's page 53 of Exhibit C. You mentioned that your attorneys at Cliff Decker Hofmeyer also engaged with Elsden, and on 31st May 2024, Elsden revealed that he believed that the suspects were one Marius van Zyl, who he said had passed away, and a Fani van Zyl. Did those names ring any bells with you?
He never mentioned any names to me. I can't say they do ring a bell to me.
And he further revealed in that meeting with the attorneys, my Lord, there is a confirmatory affidavit from Ms. Paige Winfield attached to that statement, that his source was someone called Henny, available on a certain cell number. The attorneys called Henny, whose full name is Hendrik Lowe, but he refused to disclose what he knew about the Highgate massacre. Did the name Hendrik Lowe mean anything to you?
Not that I know of.
And actually, if we can just go to a couple of the exchanges that you had with Alan Elsden on Facebook Messenger. And Lord, this is page 67 of Exhibit C. It's, I believe it's Annex B to the statement of the witness. Can I just ask Martini, is that a paginated copy?
No, sorry, some of the pages have fallen out of my copy. Could you just tell me where it starts?
So it's at 67 here. Can you
It's
look?
rare to have another copy.
Is another there? What is it?
No, it's some of the pages have fallen out of the copy. I'm sorry.
Can you have your copy of Exhibit C, please? No, this is unfortunate, but it's...
Otherwise, I have a copy of my laptop, but I don't know
this
if
one.
what does it
So
start with?
if you go to here, then it's on... It's the 9th page from the beginning. Thanks. I think that's a page.
This one.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, yes.
So I just want to highlight a statement in the Facebook Messenger record of Alan Elsden. My Lord, I'll read it into the record. The story about the exhibits being taken to CT, that's been Cape Town, a post office, etc., sounds like nonsense. Police would have kept the cartridges, etc., and driven with them to the ballistics testing venue by vehicle, in brackets probably Pretoria. So here you appear to have Mr. Elsden expressing surprise that vital evidence such as the cartridges going missing in the post. And he said, well, he seems to be saying that normally police would actually drive important exhibits. What was your response to that?
He did mention that to me, and I said, well, why wasn't it done? Surely police should have taken it from there, and I was actually quite surprised.
Then if we can turn 2 pages, my Lord, that'll be page 69 of Exhibit C at the top. And just to save time, the exchange between yourself and Mr. Elsden had been about the target. And you appear to be debating whether the target was Highgate Hotel or perhaps the Orange Grove. And this court has already heard from other witnesses that there has been a discussion that perhaps it was the Orange Grove that was being targeted because it was orange in colour. And it appears that Mr. Elsden disagrees. He says it doesn't make sense that there would have been a mistake of such an enormous blunder. I just mentioned the story going around. I am sure the Highgate was the original target. Did you agree with him in terms of that view?
Yes, I did mention to him while I was in conversation also about, did he know a Donald Card? And the son, he said yes. I said, but the guy was telling him also that if the Highgate attack was done by the upload, so you would think that you'd phone. It was the correct thing to do for an informer to phone the hotel and say that it was going to be under attack. But I did ask him if I could contact this David guy, and he said he was no longer around. But this is what he said about the hotel, that that was the target.
And then finally, and here I'm going to refer, my Lord, to the transcription of the Facebook messages because some of the copies are quite poor. My Lord, it's page 82 of Exhibit C, and one of the original affidavit would be page 37. There's a curious extract that I would like to read and ask for your comment. And my Lord, it's under the heading page 22. It's dated 1st May 2021. And Mr. Webber says, hello, well, I try not, but it stays. 10:10 tonight will be the time they attacked the hotel, but who would have given them the orders? Not something they would have done on their own, surely. And Alan Elsdon responds, no, it obviously was a bright idea from someone higher up who thought the attack would bring whites closer together against the common communist enemy. Someone mentioned they even practiced who went in first, who did what, where, etc. Can't remember the details. What was your response to that comment?
I was just a bit shocked that he knew everything about the Highgate. For him to say that it was also a bright idea from someone higher up, and also that the target was the Highgate Hotel, and it wasn't a mistake they made. So I was actually quite shocked that years back in 2022 that people had known about this already, if not even before that.
He mentioned someone mentioned. Did he disclose who that someone was?
No, he didn't. He did send me a copy of a plan where there was one guy standing on the left and one guy in the ladies' bar. He did say to me that, I'm not sure if it's in here, that they made sure that when they attacked the Highgate Hotel, the areas that were shot up, there was no way out, because they then made sure that if they went in, that they'd have a way to get out. So if they went inside and they were shooting and someone was in there, they would make sure that they were not ambushed by someone else inside the hotel when they heard the shooting. And that was the exact words to me, that this is how it was planned, to get in, and if there was a mess up with it, they would have to escape somewhere else. So obviously they had the back entrance and the escape, where the vehicle could have been parked, I don't know.
Lord, we have asked for Mr. Elston to be subpoenaed so that he can appear before this court to explain himself.
Very well.
So in conclusion, Mr. Elston, if you had to sum up your struggle for truth, justice and closure over these last 30 years, how would you explain that to the court?
Well, I think with all the struggle that we were misled about from the last 30 years, and who could possibly be responsible for this attack, but finding out now in the earlier stages and getting information from various people, I think we have a clear idea in our mind who was responsible for the Highgate Hotel. It makes sense if you put it all together, and with all the information that's been picked up and names being brought forward. I'm not saying they are definite suspects, but I don't think all these names would be mentioned if there wasn't a suspect or suspects available somewhere.
So in your view, after all your probing, if you had to advise the court where to look, where to investigate, who would be the prime entities or prime suspects in your view?
There's just one thing I've left out here from going off course here now. I would say the Hammer unit. I just want to mention somewhere. Have you got something else to ask me?
No, please go ahead.
I had an informer. I wouldn't say he's an informer. He was part of the Hammer unit. I used to go to Grahamstown quite regularly. And I know the owners that own the Graham Hotel quite well. You know them for friends for the last 15 years. And we were sitting there one day having a cup of coffee with Eugene, and spoke to him about something, and someone was listening. And at that stage, we didn't really worry who heard what we were saying. What we were saying was the truth. And he came to me as I walked out and he said, "I'd like to speak to you." I said, "But who are you?" He says, "No, I don't want to speak to you yet. Let's go over the road." So we went over the road there and we sat in the gutter there. And he said, "I was in the Hammer unit." So I said, "Oh." I said, "We suspect the Hammer unit." So he says, "Well, I can tell you something. I can give you 3 names." He says, "I was in the Hammer unit when I heard them talking about the Highgate attack." Anyway, I left that. I then got hold of Captain Peterson, and I said to him, "I have a possibility that there could be a guy that's prepared to speak." Anyway, the guy said no, he wasn't prepared to speak. And I went to Grahamstown once again and I bumped into him at Pepper Grove Mall in the car park there. I said, "Please, man." He said, "I'm prepared to speak." I did bring this forward. I understand there was one time I was busy and Captain Peterson was in Port Elizabeth. But I was then instructed by Neville to take 2 CDs to the INPA offices in Grahamstown. Never heard from Vaughan. Never been to the INPA offices there. There was a lady, it's all closed up. I said, "I'd like to see Advocate Coltman." So she said, "Just wait, Joe." I stood outside there by the door. Advocate Coltman came along. He said to me, "Are you Carl Weber?" I said, "Yes." He opened up the gate for me. I went upstairs. I said, "These are the 2 videos that I'm bringing to you for some information." I said, "But I just want to tell you something about this guy in Grahamstown that I've told Captain Peterson about and that we need to see him." And he said the guys were busy with a meeting. He passed the message on, and that was the last. Then there was another incident. We were on team on my laptop, and myself, Neville, and Dean, and Teresa, and I was directed by Advocate Coltman to go investigate this suspect, possible suspect, on my own. I still turned around to him and I said, "I'm a victim. Don't you guys get paid to do your work? That I must go and investigate a possible perpetrator." I was very angry. I still am. Because this is the treatment we get from these guys. And for an advocate to tell me that, I think it's shocking. What you told me, to go investigate a guy that was your people's work, but you told me, why don't I go and follow up this investigation of this guy? I was shocked.
Mr. Weber, the individual in question, as far as you know, he's still in Grahamstown?
I don't know. I've been back and forth to Grahamstown. I'm sure I could find him. I know where he worked. He worked at the hotel. He was like a handyman with the guys, and I'm sure the owners of the hotel will give me information.
My Lord, with the court's leave, could we make a request that whatever details the witness has be given to Captain Peterson, and if he could be directed to approach this individual and interview him before this inquest ends, and depending on what Captain Peterson hears, a decision can be made whether to subpoena the individual to appear before your Lordship.
Very well. I'll attend to that.
Thanks, Judge.
Mr. Weber, it's taken some 32 years for an inquest to happen in this case. As you heard in my opening address, under law, where there hasn't been a prosecution, there should normally be an inquest. how do you feel, given that it's taken this long to set up this official inquiry into this massacre? How has that impacted on you over the years?
You know, I think if we knew at an earlier stage what had actually happened, and that if it was investigated properly, I think most of us as survivors would be at peace. And to have been told the truth. But I have a feeling that we are on a positive road at the moment, and I think we'll get to the answers we need.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. I must also commend your courage and fortitude over the years in struggling to maintain life and soul, and of course to investigate and to try and reach closure.
Thank you very much.
My Lord, no further questions.
Thanks.
Mr. Weber, before I go to the Q&A, I am acceding to the request of Advocate Barney. I would appreciate your, when Captain Peterson is present, he's at the head of the court, to liaise with Captain Peterson with regard to the gentleman, the Grandstar gentleman.
Thank you.
You can provide him with whatever you have. And Captain Peterson is requested to follow that up, to deal with that, and to report back on the outcome of that process. Thank you. Captain Peterson is at the back, he acknowledges that.
Thank you very much, Judge.
Perhaps before the can I just Advocate Vali has asked you, pursuant to your testimony about the direction in which your own endeavors as victims have taken you about a prime suspect in the matter to your mind. I don't think you've responded to that point. What was your impression after all the efforts that you've made? Which direction did this point?
After a couple of years,
Yes.
it definitely pointed to the Hammer unit of the 3rd Force. I don't think there's ever been any operation in the Eastern Cape that was as well put together as the Highgate Massacre.
Perhaps I'm not able to exhaust the issues that are on my mind. If I understood you correctly, you had a fair opportunity to observe the attacker when he was at the doorway.
Yes, it
shooting.
did. It did, yes.
Yes. And would you say you had also fair opportunity to look at the boots that you spoke about?
You know, having a ski mask balaclava on was not easy. I could not identify him, but I think what he had on was what caught my eyes, the blue canvas boots and the AK-47. And if I think correctly, for a guy to walk into a small area like that with an AK-47 one magazine, I don't think he would have offloaded one magazine and disappeared. I don't think it was enough. So there was definitely more than that, as I said.
You said that at the SPCA you had fair contact with the police who had assisted in some of the work that you did.
Yes, Judge. you know, we used to get the cattle trucks coming through from the Transkei. And in those years, you had to have a permit to transport the cattle from the Transkei through to the car bridge to the abattoirs in East London. And if we needed help, we used to contact the police, because they were the only guys that could assist us in a situation like that. And if they needed to be parked at an abattoir and the cattle have to be offloaded, they would be the guys to sort of assist us with that as well.
Are you certain that the boots that you saw are ones that you would usually see the police wearing, especially you say the old riot uniform?
Exactly, Judge, yes. Yeah, it's, you know, when you work with the guys, you actually see what they wear. And that was the first thing that caught my eyes.
What else do you know about those kind of boots? We know it's canvas. The sole, was it rubber soles or what is
I
it?
think some of them were flat.
Flat.
Yes. So it's not like they had a heel or something at the back. It was like a flat, you know, when you get your tacky type of thing. Yeah.
Do you know whether it was rubber or what substance was that sole, bottom that was flat?
It was quite a thin sole. It could have been rubber or whatever underneath, but it wasn't really unidentified so well.
Would you be able to identify those boots if you shown?
I'm sure I would, yeah. Yes.
Have you ever seen anybody else outside of the police wearing those boots? Civilians?
I think you do get some of them that wear those, but I'm not sure if it's the blue colour. I mean, the guys that were in the National Defence Force, I think some of them just still wear them. I don't know why. Maybe they just don't have any other shoes. I think the guys that used to wear the camouflage clothing as well in the police also used to wear the brown ones. And they were definitely like a flat sole.
Those were the brown ones.
Yes, Judge.
I seem to recall that
I
as
think
well.
some of them still wear it to this day.
You said that you were fairly acquainted with the Highgate. You went there quite often.
Yes, you did. I used to know Martin Whittaker, another guy that was ambushed at a shop just inside Dawn. He used to own the Highgate. He had a dog that was sort of a dog had rickets, so it kept on coming to the SPCA. People would pick the dog up and bring it to the SPCA, so it became very friendly. But he was ambushed at the Brandy Shack I don't know if you know about it, when Appler walked in some time back, and he opened up, his wife was inside with a kid, with his girlfriend, and he went into town to get stock, and he walked in, and as he opened the doors, they gunned him down. And actually broke away from the industry of the hotel to go and get a little shop to sell stuff at that time.
What sort of patrons, if any particular group of patrons?
The Highgate. Yeah,
Those are the Highgate.
if you go up the road, you have all the industrial factories like Johnson & Johnson, and there's quite a few, Coca-Cola, SA breweries. There's a whole lot up the road from the Highgate. So I think on a Friday used to be an afternoon where the guys could come and have a special lunch with a few beers, yeah. But it was a well-known hotel in East London. The food was very good and was very well supported. So I knew the hotel from back to front.
So it was people from the surrounding area.
Yes, correct, guys. I'll just bring to your attention as well, a lot of police cars used to hang around there as well. And still after the shooting, they hang around there as well. I think the guys from the Cambridge police station, they weren't far. I don't know if you know the direction from the Cambridge police station to the Highgate. I think you're looking at maybe 3-4 kilometers.
Yeah, they pointed it out to me the other day.
And that year the guys used to also hang around there on weekends, yeah. Because I knew some of the guys. Not their personal friends, but
There appears to be indication that somebody returned fire during this incident.
yeah, I believe that guy was a Barnard guy, I'm not sure of his name, Balen or something. I believe he returned fire, but I think at that time I was lying on the ground already.
Right.
But I do believe that he did say that he had, I think I don't know, there was a statement from him saying that he did return fire. I actually worked with his mother and father at the SPCA, but I didn't know him personally.
So you learned about it
At a later
afterwards.
stage, yes.
Oh. Very well. Who is going to lead the further questions, if any, for the NPA? Very well. We'll stand down briefly.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Mr. Weber. Like I indicated to Mr. Belling yesterday, I haven't formally met you, and I'll take this opportunity to introduce myself. I'm Didier Governor. I'm one of the newer members. More than welcome to see Mr. Weber. I'm one of the newer members attached to this team, assisting Ms. Postman and Mr. Polk in this matter. As I also indicated, and as my Lordship indicated during his opening address, our job here is to assist the court in leading of evidence. My job is not to cross-examine you, and like I also indicated yesterday, it's our responsibility as the NPA, and as what I take it, is as a victim of crime, you are our clients, and that's the way we see it. So we are your representatives. So there is certain questions that I'd like to clarify about the matter. Specifically, I'm going to ask you, in your statement, your initial statement that you made, you did indicate at that stage you were still at the hospital, and I stand to be corrected, but you weren't even in a position to sign your statement. It had to be signed by your mum, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
And I would assume you were obviously, because of the nature of your injuries, you were under medication at that stage as well.
Right.
So in your initial statement that you made to the police, you did indicate that the perpetrator you referred to as a black male in the statement itself. But like you said in your evidence, obviously you were, you described also the request to identify people, and you were never in that position. So what I want to clarify from you now, after the number of years and your recollection of it, were you able to see the race of the individual who was firing at you?
No,
You were not.
it was a male, but not with the ski mask on. I couldn't.
So all you remember, it was a male person,
Yes,
and you remember the boots, you said,
Yes.
and the balaclava,
an AK-47.
and obviously the firearm as well. But with respect of his
Yes.
identity,
Sorry, did you use the term ski mask?
Yes, ski mask.
Ski mask.
Yes.
So you would rather describe it as a ski mask?
I think they call it a ski mask if it's just pulled over your head and just your eyes are
And
sticking
then just
out.
your eyes to go.
Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Goldman.
no, as God please, my lord. Mr. Weber, further in your statement, which obviously again I'm just going to repeat what you had said, and you can just indicate, because as you said as well too, there was contradictions. You said there were contradictions in your statement and about the events.
Yes.
Is correct? So in paragraph 17, you actually give a description where you say the person was, it was approximately 1.76 meters in length, and was well built, but not stocky. Is that what you remember, or is that?
I think that's what I saw. I don't know, with the clothing he had on, he could have been stocky, but according to the height, with the height of the door, I could sort of judge what.
So that description would be what you would
Yes.
say is pretty accurate. The person
Yes.
was around 1.76 meters and was a stocky build, but you cannot say what the race of the person was.
Can I just mention something, if you don't mind?
No problem.
In that statement from the police, they've got there a black. If you read on the next page, they say a male, which I identified as a male.
Yes, you're
So I
referring
don't know
to.
where the black would come in the first sentence of the statement, I think it is. Then not long after that, the statement was the same statement taken and said was a male. And I still said I couldn't identify the photos that the guy sent me. So I don't know where that would come into that statement.
So you didn't identify to the police at any stage, as far as you remember anyway.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but and like you said today, you remember, all you could tell us he was a male, approximate height,
Yes.
and of this thing, as my colleague points out, you are correct that initially the statements do indicate male, which is in paragraph 9, where you say, I saw that this male was entering, and down the line in paragraph 16, and then is a reference to a black male thereafter.
I don't know.
That's what they say. That's what was written there. So you are correct that initially the statement did say male,
Yes.
and thereafter the word black male then appears. So, but
Maybe
obviously,
it was identified as black as a mask. I mean, I couldn't identify what color or race he was.
yes. So your
Yes.
evidence is that you are unable to,
Yes.
up to this point, you cannot say the race.
No,
of the
correct.
Okay. Then, I just want to also clarify with your discussions with Mr. Alston. In paragraph 44 of the new affidavit that you drafted, that was handed in as and marked at page 53. I'm going to read directly from that paragraph.
I don't know if we could have a copy of that somewhere, please.
Ms. Winfield is going to provide you
Thank
a copy. So I'm going to read it into the record. It says, my attorneys at Cliffy Decker of May Incorporated also engaged with Mr. Alston, and on 31st May 2024, Alston revealed that he believed that the suspects were Marius van Zyl, who he said had passed away, and Fani van Zyl. A copy of this WhatsApp discussion is annexed as D. So was that a conversation you had directly with Mr. Alston?
No, I don't think I would have asked him to indulge names with me. I think I left it to the legal team.
So
I did mention to him about names, and he said he was not prepared to give me, which I think the legal team went to investigate it.
So he didn't reveal names to you, it was revealed
No,
to
not
your
at all.
attorneys?
Not at all.
Okay. And then just with regards to your meetings with Advocate Marga, I just want to get some clarity on that. Do you remember who initiated that meeting?
Advocate?
Marga from the NPA. You said,
Ntunzi.
yeah, Ntunzi Marga?
Yeah, I think it was Lady Edelman. I think it was arranged by Spartle's Trust
Okay.
as a group that we'd get hold of him, and he was prepared to. He actually came down to East London to see us.
And did you only meet once, or do you not remember?
Some of us were not available at some of the meetings.
Okay.
If you will see, we've got a letterhead, the signatures that are signed, and the people that attended. And I think at some other meetings there were also some people that were absent. So maybe I could have been absent at the second one, but I don't think there were that many with him.
Okay, and you say at the meeting that you were present in, Mr. Advocate Marga didn't, I just need to clarify, didn't want to make a statement.
No,
Sorry, what did he say?
he didn't want to even be seen on TV. He didn't want to be, he didn't give us a statement. We never heard from him again. We actually wrote back to him and asked him if he could keep us up to date with this inquest or the Highgate thing. And I don't think, I've got two letters that I've got at home, and I think the second one is that we asked him if he could reply quarterly or whatever to us, and I don't.
So I just want to clarify, when you say, oh, you mean he didn't want to make a statement to the media? Is that what you're
He
referring to?
didn't want to be seen on TV. If the media comes, so obviously he didn't want to make a statement to the TV.
Okay, at one of these meetings, was there a request from the family that he makes a statement?
I think as a group we requested him, and that was the last now.
Okay. Mr. Belling testified that, as far as he remembers, and I'll stand to be corrected, my learned colleagues will correct me, it seemed to him that Mr. Advocate Marga was passing instructions to the then investigating officer
Could be possible.
to continue the investigation, and he indicated in his affidavit, I'm not sure if he said it in his evidence, but he did indicate in his affidavit that nothing came of these meetings with Advocate
Exactly.
Marga. Okay, so I just want to clarify that. Then with respect to what you indicated regarding the CDs and with respect to the Advocate Coleman, I just want to clarify on that. So our understanding is, yes, you did come to Grahamstown with the CDs of the, I'll certainly be corrected, it was the CDs, one of the videos that we played on day 2.
There were two.
Yeah, so those were, and we can confirm, yes, that he did meet with you. But on that day, coincidentally, by that stage, Ms. Bosman was now assigned to this matter. But she was not available on that date, and that is why Advocate Coleman had come to meet you. That, yes, you did say there was a Grahamstown witness, and that information was passed on that same day to Captain Peterson, because they were actually having an accountability session discussing all our matters, and that information was passed. But no specific detail was given to Advocate Coleman regarding a name. It was just a witness in Grahamstown that would possibly have information. Is that how you remember?
I do remember there were no names given. I did state clearly to Vaughan that this guy was in Grahamstown. I have got his name. And I did say to Advocate Colpin that, I've just given you this message. You can just pass it on to Vaughan. I am in Grahamstown. He then instructed me and said that they were in a meeting at the moment, all the Hawks at the back, the office there. And he said he'd give Vaughan the message. I waited for a couple of hours in Grahamstown and I just left.
Unfortunately, because of that accountability session, it was obviously it had been scheduled already.
Sure.
And so that obviously meant that
I understand.
Captain Peterson could not. But Captain Peterson also confirmed that he was informed at that meeting.
Thank you.
And was asked to obviously follow that up. So just to clarify, you do have a name of this person.
I have the name, and I think I could identify him as well.
And when was the last time you actually communicated with him or saw him?
I dropped the videos off at the MP offices in Grahamstown on the 28th of April 2023. I think it was a week or two before that, and I was supposed to come up, but unfortunately Captain Peterson had other obligations. He had to go to court and PE and all that, and I wasn't available at some times, so it clashes with the meeting. I then went back to Grahamstown and I bumped into this certain person in a car park, and I said to him, at first he wasn't, when I first met him, he said he's prepared to speak. He gave me 3 names, he wouldn't give them to me, and he just said I must ask the one guy if I see it, onthou jy die koppie.
And when Captain Peterson testified, he said that the reason why he had to get your assistance is because the witness in Grahamstown, wasn't comfortable speaking to Peterson on his own. So was it a request from this witness that you be present or that you be present at that meeting?
He did speak to me who I was going to come with, and I said, we'll come with the captain in the Hawks, and he said, it's not a problem. I said, can we come and see you? And he said, please do.
So do you believe then now, if you had to give the name to Captain Peterson, would he be able to approach him by himself, or would it be that,
I don't think so.
Okay. So
I think he'd be more comfortable with me being present, although I don't want to be. I don't feel safe in the surrounding, going up to Grahamstown with Peterson, not that I don't trust him, but at the moment the way things are going, I don't know how safe it would be to travel in with one of your captains. I don't know. It's my feeling.
Okay, so I think between your attorneys and ourselves, we have to speak to this witness. You do understand that, because we don't know what this person is, what information he has, and I think it might be information that we would require. Not I think, I know it's information that we would require. So if you say you're not comfortable between your representatives and ourselves and the SAPS, we're going to have to arrange how we could actually do this if this person is still in Grahamstown. But you said he was working at
He was
Graham
working
Hotel.
at the hotel, but I'm talking maybe about 2-3 years ago.
But I'm sure if we even speak, because I don't think the ownership of the Graham Hotel has actually changed.
No, they're still the same owners.
It's the same, so I'm sure they probably might have
Yes,
contact information.
He did tell me where he was working at the second meeting with him, and he's working at Pepper Grove Morley's, where you get the spur. As you go out the spur,
yep.
At the back there's a bar there on the corner where Extreme Clothing is, over the road. There's a big bar, like
I think it might be closed now.
place. I don't know.
I think it is
last
closed
time.
now. But I know the bar you're referring
Okay.
to. I think it is closed
That's
now.
the last time I saw him.
Yeah. Then the last aspect I want to canvass to is the meeting that you had with my colleagues and the family members, where you indicate that Advocate Mr. Coltman asked you to go and obtain the statement from Mr. Halston.
Correct.
Directed to go get this statement. You confirmed that at that meeting, your attorneys were present. It wasn't Mr. Varney, but attorneys from
I think Tim at Baldendine, Teresa Neville, myself.
was
Tim is one of the attorneys in Pretoria.
is that Mr. Smith
Yes.
was present at that meeting
Yes.
as well too, and it was on Teams.
Yes, yeah.
And Ms. Winfield was also part of the meeting.
Yeah,
She
exactly.
might not have been there
Yes.
throughout, but she started the meeting. Like we indicated to the court yesterday, we want to retrieve that recording, but unfortunately we don't have that capabilities. Ms. Winfield is assisting us, but there is obviously, because of the time frames, obviously there's possibilities that that record could be lost. From our recording, that meeting took place on the 29th of November 2022. So that be, I know it's a long time ago.
I'm not going to remember the dates. I know I came on a bit late,
Okay.
but I came in at that specific time when Ed Elston came into the conversation.
And that's the meeting also that you had with the PAC leader was present at that meeting. Was that
Exactly.
the same meeting? Okay, so that's the meeting that we recorded. So immediately after that meeting, Ms. Botsman made a report of the going on at that meeting, and to obtain a statement from Mr. Elston. Before you comment on that, I just want to explain to you as well, so that the processes regards to obtaining statements, we as NPA are not authorized to do it either. The only people that are authorized to obtain statements are attorneys obtains, and sometimes, not sometimes, the police officers obtain statements. So as the NPA, when we want to obtain a statement, we direct the police to obtain a statement. As a prosecutor, if we ask a family member or we ask a victim to conduct an investigation, the chances of that evidence being ruled admissible is very, very limited, because a complainant should not investigate his own crime, and should, more important, cannot obtain statements from other witnesses because he's a witness himself. So I just want you to be aware of that. And I will, Mr. Colton is a seasoned prosecutor as well. In subsequent emails, unfortunately, after that meeting, Ms. Bosman took ill and was then not in the office for a while. She was unavailable, but she forwarded an email to your attorneys referring to the meeting that occurred, and in that meeting she thanked the family as well as the attorneys for the assistance that we were receiving. The date of that email is the 15th of February 2023. It was sent to Ms. Winfield, as well as a CC to Mr. Smith and a whole other people at CDH as well. And in it, I'm going to just read from paragraph 2 that says, we do intend to take up your generous offer of assistance in this matter. After thorough consideration of the documents provided, we believe that a personal consultation between ourselves and Alan Elston could assist in the investigation. The messages between Carl Weber and Elston indicate that it could possibly provide essential information. Would you kindly provide us with his contact details to enable us to make the necessary arrangements? So this is what we sent, that was sent by Ms. Bosman, requesting Mr. Elston's information so that we could then consult with him. And in the reply that we received on the 20th of February from Ms. Winfield, with respect to that, we will continue to try and find Alan Elston's contact details, but our clients almost exclusively communicate with him over Facebook Messenger. You will have the screenshots of the Facebook profile. So from this year, you see, well, what's obvious from this is that both Ms. Bosman and Mr. Colton wanted to speak to Mr. Elston themselves. Would you agree?
If I was told to contact Ed Elston, why was I told that? If you guys were prepared to interview Ed Elston on your own, why was I given that information directly from Advocate Colton to say that I should go and interview the guy? I know where he stays, I don't know where he stays, and that, that's how I understood it. But
Mr. Coltman has indicated that's not, and Ms. Bosman has indicated that's not the way they remember that meeting.
Okay, well, that's what was said to me. I swore an oath here, and that's what I stated.
And do you have any contact information for Mr. Alston?
Only contact I had was what we sent in Messenger. That's the last I've heard from him.
But he is the
I don't think it's in my hands to interview or to carry on with this investigation anymore. If I've got a legal team, I haven't contacted him. I haven't heard from him. Obviously, other people have heard of him. I don't want to hear from him.
Yeah, and as you heard, there needs to be clarity on it. But as Captain Peterson did indicate, he did make contact with Alston.
Yes.
He indicated that a statement was taken, but with consultation with my learned colleagues, we unfortunately cannot find that statement.
Okay.
So we're not. But there is a statement from Peterson himself saying that he did speak to Alston, and Alston was, and I stand to be corrected, but confirming what Alston had indicated as well.
Sure.
So there was some contact with him as well from the SAPS side as well.
I understand.
As well. Malone, the only other issue that we want to discuss is I have spoken to Captain Peterson regarding the photograph. He's attempting to get that, so maybe we could ask to stand down. Hopefully we would get it by 2:15, and then we will be able to show, if we get the photograph, Mr. Weber, the photograph of the boot for his command to see if it's something that he recognizes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very well. We'll take the lunch and adjournment. We will be at 2:15.
As the court pleases, my lord. My lord, I believe that the media has been informed of the fact that this specific witness doesn't mind being recorded, albeit she does not want her face to be shown. She feels like she'd be more comfortable presenting her testimony that way. Just wanted to put that on record.
Can I ask the members of the media to honor that arrangement? Thank you.
Thank you very much, my lord.
Then you can proceed with Richard.
My lord, the next family member that we're calling to the stand is Lindeen Page.
Very well.
State your full names, please.
Lindeen and Page.
Thank you. Do you have any objection in taking the oath?
No.
You consider the oath binding on your conscience?
Yes.
You swear that the evidence will be in front of the court and will be the truth you have provided to?
I swear.
Please raise your right hand and say so help me God.
Okay, so help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, proceed.
Thank you.
Is your first name with a Y or I?
L-Y.
L-Y.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Richard?
Thank you very much, my lord. Ms. Page, just before we start, I just want to inform you that if at any given moment you feel over emotional or like you can't continue, please just give an indication to the court and we'll stand down for a few moments.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Page, I just want to start with a brief introduction. If you can maybe just indicate to the court what is your relation to the Highgate Massacre and how are you involved with the Highgate Massacre?
Okay. My brother, Dion Harris, he was 26 years old. He was, I would say, murdered on the 1st of May at the Highgate Massacre. And I decided to take it on myself to make sure I found out who the culprits are. And, sorry, I'm already emotional.
We understand.
Because I believe I'm his mouse now. I'm the only one who can talk for him. Because I lost my mum and my dad along the way. And it's only me now. And I joined the Highgate United group with Carl and Neville and a whole lot of other survivors. And we've been trying to seek the truth. Yeah, for the last few long years.
And can you maybe give the court an indication of the type of life you were living with your brother Dion before this happened? How old were you?
I was 25, John was 26. I was about to have my first child. I was 9 months pregnant. My son was due on his birthday, which was the 13th of May. So, yeah. He was due on the 13th of May, which is would have been John's 27th birthday. And we had a very close relationship. There was only 18 months between us. And yeah, he was, the funny part was I used to get morning sickness and my brother used to throw up for me. And I used to phone him and say, have you thrown up? He said, yes. I said, I've had the morning sickness. So we were that close. So
you would say that you had a very close relationship with him, and he was very excited for the birth of your son. And Lindeen, how did you hear about what happened at the Highgate Hotel? When did you find out?
My dad was given a call to come and fetch his car at the hotel. I'm not sure what the time was. I think it was just after 10, 20 to 11. And then my mum phoned to say there'd been an attack at the Highgate Hotel. And then we sat actually and watched TV. And we watched bodies coming out. And then my mum arrived at our place at about 20 to 2 in the morning. And I recall her coming in the gate with the tablets in her hand. So, I'm still emotional.
It's fine. We understand.
It's so long, but yeah.
And I mean, without having to go in too deep into it, because I think it's very presentable. Can you maybe just share with us what the impact was on your life personally?
Personally, Dion's funeral was on the 5th of May, and that night, that evening, we actually had a wake, and I had to say goodbye everybody, I'm going in to have my baby. And the next morning I had my child by C-section, and I got this child and I was so happy, but I was so sad, and the guilt I felt, because I'm not allowed to be happy because my brother's just died. I'm not allowed to be sad, I've got a baby. So, I'm sorry, the feelings were so horrible. Because I never really enjoyed having my first child like everybody else does, because I felt so much guilt. Because I shouldn't have been happy because I lost my brother. I shouldn't have been sad because it was a horrible, horrible time.
So you would say that you experienced extreme conflicting emotions?
Extreme. I actually, eventually, like I said, I never really mourned my brother's death properly because I had this baby. So I never really mourned his death properly.
And would you say that the psychological impact of something like this is forever?
Forever. Yeah, forever. It's still, as you can see, it's still here.
Yes. And your parents, they were alive at the time. How did it impact your parents?
My mom was devastated, was absolutely devastated. She even actually had a shrine for him at one stage, and I said to her, Mom, I'm still here. But, I mean, mother and her son, there's that bond. And the worst part was not getting answers. My mom kept on phoning the police. What's happening? Give us some information. What's happening? I think it took over 2 years to try and get an autopsy. And as a parent or even a family member, you just want to know, did your child or your brother, did he suffer? Did he suffer? And for my mom, she needed that answer. She really did. And they didn't help her. And eventually, a police lady, I remember her name was Belinda, I can't give you any more details, snuck a report out for her. Then she went to the doctor, and he explained to her that Jan died quite instantly because it was one bullet in the chest.
Okay. So then there was at
A
least
little
some
bit-
type of closure in that.
A little
regard.
bit of relief.
And would you say that it also impacted your parents' relationship as new grandparents?
It did. Because my mom also felt guilty that she's loved this little baby. And she felt guilty. She can't replace my brother with this baby.
Yes.
So she felt terrible guilt about it too.
Yeah, and would you say that anything was ever the same after this?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
I want to quickly move on to something that you mentioned regarding alleged explosive devices. Just to indicate to the court, Lindine's statement that was made in January of this year can be found on page 90 of Exhibit C. And then on page 93 of Exhibit C, just give the court a moment. We deal with alleged explosive devices that were outside of the Highgate Hotel
Correct.
and the testimony of Ricardo van der Nest.
Correct.
Now, Ricardo van der Nest also has made a statement, which is in Exhibit D from page 62 to 66, wherein the version of Lindeen is confirmed. So can you tell me a bit about what you know about these explosive devices and Ricardo's involvement in that?
Ricardo was the ambulance driver that night. I actually do know him personally as well. And he let us know that there was an explosive device found outside. And they called the bomb unit in, and they had thrown something over the top of this explosive. No one was allowed to go into the hotel at that stage. And it's the way he said they detonated it in that area.
Okay. As I stated, Ricardo's statement can be found on page 62 to 66. It's an Afrikaans, the statement. I did endeavor to just translate a bit of the context of it. What it essentially states in his statement, in his personal statement on page 62 of Exhibit D is, so while the police was busy with their investigations, they warned us at one stage to stay away where the sandbags were because there's going to be an explosion. We were warned to move away from the area. After we moved away to a safe distance, while looking through the ambulance window, there was an explosion. I just need to correct myself, I don't think the statement was in Afrikaans, but it's handwritten and I just wrote it so I could read it. So after we moved away to a safe distance, while looking through the ambulance window, there was an explosion. Before the explosion, one of the visitors' cars had to be moved because somebody saw a suspicious object under the car. And Ricardo states that he later learned that it was the deceased Dion Harris's car. So the reason I'm just reading this into the record is just in confirmation of what the witness is stating regarding there being alleged explosive devices and the ambulances being requested to move as a result thereof.
Yes, thank you.
So now I want to move to your brief interaction with Eric Taylor and the phone tapping that you allegedly experienced prior thereto. Can you maybe explain to the court how this came about, how you saw Eric Taylor?
We had to have a meeting at the Highgate. I'm sure it was 10 o'clock. And Neville and I decided to get there at 9:30. And that's how we spoke on the phone the night before. Daryl Else was going to be there as well. This was the weekend person. Her name was Barbara. I cannot remember her surname, recall it. And a few other survivors. And while we were waiting outside, but when Neville and I were speaking on the phone, we heard this like echoing sound and a scratching noise on the phone, and it just sounded strange, you know, when we were talking. So while we were waiting outside in the car park, we saw this car coming past, and then he turned around and he came past again, and then Daryl said, "That looks like Eric Taylor." And then he drove past and he came back, and then he came in. And then Daryl went and spoke to him. I don't have much knowledge after that. I didn't, go and listen to them, but it was definitely Eric Taylor.
Thank you very much. And can you remember approximately when, in what year this was?
It was one of our, was it 20-year? Our 20-year memorial. I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken.
No problem.
I'm not too sure.
I think the witness statement will reflect that this was around 2010.
10. Okay.
Yes.
No, I'm not 100%
I know the
sure.
dates are, but
Yeah,
over
yeah.
a lot of things happened.
No, lots of weapons. Sorry.
And then you had this interaction with Eric Taylor, as you stated, but you didn't specifically interact with him personally.
No.
But he was there.
Yes.
And would you say that the way that he was conducting himself that day was suspicious?
I would say a little bit.
And on what basis would you say that?
I would say in the way he had to meet an informer, the way he just said it, like it was like a quick answer.
And before that, you didn't know that he was involved or related to the Highgate in any type of way, so you couldn't understand?
No, not really, no.
And did you tell anyone about the phone tapping and the interaction with Eric Taylor?
We went to the Cambridge police station to go and make a statement because we were worried about our phones being tapped. At that stage, we were worried about people anywhere near us because we were nervous. And so we went to the police station and we went to go and see, I think it was a Colonel, Stephen Durant. I actually knew him personally too because his parents, his dad, Andre Durant, was also in the police and we knew them. And we went and we said, we want to make a statement. This is what's happened. Eric Taylor was there and we think, our phones were tapped. And he said to me, please, do you mind making a statement? I have a family and friends to protect. Will you make the statement and come back after 5 and slip it under my door?
So would you say that he seemed fearful?
The way he said that, yes.
And how did this make you feel in that moment?
Terrible, because now who do you trust? Who can you go to when you've got a problem? I mean, yeah.
So it was a strange experience.
It's a very strange experience. Never had that before, no.
And did you do this?
Yes,
did
we
you
went
make a
back after
statement?
5, we went to his office, we slipped it under his door.
And after that?
Nothing, we heard nothing.
Then during your quest to justice and to find the truth, there was someone by the name of Daryl Als. We heard this in previous testimony that requested to go and meet with informants.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you maybe tell us a bit about this interaction that you had with Daryl and whether anything came from it?
Yes, we'd raised funds and we gave Daryl 5,000 rand to help him with accommodation and etc. with food. He said to us he was going to PE. He had to meet somebody there. And then from there, Neville kept me updated about everything, about him meeting this guy at the army field, and Neville used to keep me updated all the time about going to this place, Slung something, near Ado Park.
Yes.
Where there was a duplicate of the Highgate Hotel where they were practicing. He showed him. And I also recall then him having to go to Cape Town, and he had met 3 guys there. And from there, he phoned Neville and he said to Neville, I've spoken to these guys, but I've got to put a report into the MPA first before I give you details. And we heard nothing. And I kept on also trying to phone him and trying to message him on Facebook. And he kept on saying, I'm busy with it, I'm busy with it.
So he was
And
almost making excuses.
Was making excuses. And eventually we heard his laptop was stolen.
My lord, I have here an original handwritten note to Christian Botha, who received the check for Daryl to go and do the investigations of 5,000 Rand. The handwritten note is signed by Christian Botha. If we can maybe just hand this up as Exhibit G. We also have extra copies if they need. This is the...
Thank you. This is Exhibit G.
Thank you very much, my lord. My lord, this just serves as confirmation of the 5,000 Rand that was paid to Daryl Els to go and meet with these informants to cover his costs.
It's dated the 4th of May 2009. It says Christian Botha received a check number 00001 for an amount of 5,000 Rand. Check made out to CBI, received by, and there's a signature, written underneath the signature Christian Barnard CBI. It's Exhibit G.
Thank you very much, my lord. Would you say that during this period when Daryl was investigating these informants or going about to meet these informants, was there some kind of sense of hope?
A lot of hope. There was a lot of hope. We were quite excited to get the results. You know, it was exciting because we had someone doing something for us at last. Even though we had to pay a little bit, we had someone doing something for us. Very exciting.
And then at the end of various of the other testimonies that we've heard that he said he found them. He knows who did it.
Yes, yes. And it was exciting. It was, we want to know.
And then when Mr. Daryl Els then went on this tangent of making excuses and then losing the laptop, what kind of emotions did you experience?
We started
after that?
feeling, was he real with us? You know, what's happened? I mean, I don't know. It was just like as they call it, a downer. You lost all faith and hope again.
And maybe this is an opportune time to then ask you, at this point in time, did you have any theories surrounding who had done it? Did your theories maybe change over time?
My theory was the hammer unit for many years.
And so even at the time when the Upla narrative was pushed, you didn't necessarily agree with that?
No, only after the Upla narrative was, when he said it wasn't them. Then I changed, you know, but before, only after that. Then I started looking, then I started researching. Mm-hmm.
And one can only think that when someone tells you that they found people, they found the people that killed your brother, and then this individual just disappearing on you. Did it raise any suspicions surrounding Daryl Els specifically?
Yes, it did. Why did he disappear? Because he disappeared out of East London. I mean, why? Where did he go? And you know, we had quite a good relationship with Daryl. We had a friendly relationship with Daryl. He was a good person. I mean, we spent a lot of time with him. We went away to the healing of memories in Cape Town, and Daryl came with us as a group. So we knew Daryl and his family. He was close to us. So when we didn't get this from him, it was like what? We couldn't believe it.
Yeah, experiencing some form of betrayal almost.
Yes, yeah, correct.
And we've also heard that you were then informed that he probably misled you.
Yes.
And that it wasn't true.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. I'm going to go on to some further investigations. Just want to find out, what was your experience throughout the last 30 years regarding the investigations and specifically how it's been conducted?
I felt really let down. Who do you turn to? Who's going to help you? No one wanted to help us. And it's like we started doing our own investigation. When you find something, what do you do with it? Because no one wants to help you. No one ever followed up with us. No one ever asked us or told us this is happening, that's happening. We had no follow-up at all. We had no emotional counselling, no counselling, nothing. Nobody approached us. Nobody. And I think in that situation, they should be approaching you with emotional counselling, with the police following up on you and all that. Nothing happened. Nothing of the sort.
Did Neville ever tell you that he made contact with Advocate Chris McAdams?
Yes, he did.
And what did he relay in this regard?
He did tell me that McAdams had given him a few things that Daryl had said in the statement, had told him a few things.
And that was
And then-
suspicious to you?
No, because he should have known. He got the statement. You see? So I was like, okay.
And in that moment, was there any thoughts of the fact that maybe Daryl didn't mislead you and that what he was saying did actually happen?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you also stated that Carl informed you about being in contact with Alan Elson.
Yeah, correct.
Can you maybe tell me about this a bit?
He did tell me, it's quite hazy, but he did give me the screenshots and all that. But it's very hazy for me right now.
You
sorry.
don't have to.
Yeah,
you don't have to relay all of that.
Yeah.
We did hear it. I just wanted you to confirm that this
Okay,
was also
yes.
conveyed to you.
It was, yes.
So we've spoken about your suspicions
Mhm.
and other suspicions of the possible involvement of the Hammer unit.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you conducted your own research on the Hammer unit, as you've
Yes.
stated.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's then maybe an opportune time to move on to what happened on the 31st of May, 1993. If you can maybe, just tell the court
Okay.
what happened that day.
On the 31st of May 1993, we went down to Morgan's Bay, which is about an hour's drive out of East London, to go and scatter my brother's ashes, because he was a huge fisherman and he had caught his fish in a certain area. So we decided we're going to go and scatter his ashes. And we had a lay preacher with us. His name was Rod Dewberry. And there were quite a few of us that had gone down. And we were standing on the rocks. And as we were standing there, this guy came walking out of Midford Flats, which is right where we were. And he came up to the lay preacher, to Rob Dewberry, and he said to him, who are these people? So Rod says, no, this is John Harris. He was killed in the Highgate Hotel, and this is his parents and his family. They're here to scatter his ashes. And he said to me, I was with them. I'm Bayman Lombard. And he explained to us how he met John at the Highgate that night. And his wife had just had a baby. And he was there celebrating, having a drink. And my brother, told him I was having the baby, and they were talking babies. That's what he told me. And he said they were chatting for quite a while. He was about to leave. He was walking out. My brother called him back and said to him, I must give you my phone number. We must get together for a bra. And the next thing, he said he pushed John down because he heard these firecracker noises. He pushed John down and he went on his haunches. He jumped over the bar and he shouted, "Get down!" And that's when they came in. And I can't, I wasn't there for the rest of it. But he said he had his own gun and he shot back. And he told us he was an ex-Rhodesian army member.
And tell me, how many times did he tell you he shot that gun?
He just said he shot back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
It was very strange,
you
so-
also mentioned that he came from the
King William's
hospital
Town. Yeah,
that
yeah.
evening.
Yes.
And raised some concerns surrounding the timing of coming from the
Yes.
hospital.
I said, if he had come from the hospital, hospitals at those days, you couldn't be with your husband or with your wife in hospital after 8 o'clock. It wasn't like your husband could stay with you 30 years ago. So he left at 8. So he was there for 2 hours, just having a drink on his way home to King Williamstown. Just seemed very weird.
And the interaction, his sudden appearance where he was catching your brother's ashes, was that also
It was
strange to you?
strange, but he said his parents owned Midford Flats. But it was very strange that we were there out an hour's drive from East London. We never knew who shot back. We never knew who befriended my brother. We never knew that. We didn't have his name. We knew nothing. And here we are that day, and he comes and introduces himself. Very strange.
Did you ever hear from him again
Never,
after this?
never.
And it was only after this that your definite theory into the hammer units started also building up, because initially there was the Appler narrative. I'm correct, right?
Well, after 2007, when let Lapa let everyone know, yeah. That's when I started investigating as such.
I want to move on to a certain Mr. Dirk Petzer,
Yes.
who gave Daryl, not Daryl,
Neville.
apologies, Neville, certain information. Yes, what was your involvement?
Yeah, Neville sent me the screenshots of the conversation, and he actually asked Dirk if I could meet with Neville. And because I said, no, I'll go with you, I'm not scared. Well, I was. And we went and met in the car park on, I think it was a Sunday, and behind a spa. Danray's, or we call it Danray's Spa. And he came and sat on my side. Neville was driving on his haunches, and he started telling us a whole lot of stories. And I remember him saying his brother, Zich, was there, and he was there, and Kuchlenberger or something was there, and I think it was Holloway. And he said his brother, Zich said to him, it's going down. You better leave. And he left, and Kuchlenberg left with him. I'm not saying the name right, I'm sure, but...
It is right.
Okay. Left with him, but they were in separate cars, he told us. And he said he got home, and an hour later, his brother phoned him and said it's gone down.
And that was when the attack apparently took
Yes.
place, and
Yes.
allegedly. So
That's what he told us.
So, according to what you heard from Dirk, Zich was there
Zich was
when
there.
the attack took place.
Correct, yes. Yes. He also told us about a guy at Suarez that used to carry a briefcase around, and he said he actually had a handcuff on the briefcase. It had all the information in. And I said to Neville, I remember the name Fingers. They called him Fingers. That name stuck in my head, yeah.
And this person allegedly had a lot of
A
information.
lot of information. He
surrounding-
walks around with this, handcuff.
And did you report this to the police afterwards?
No. No, it will just been, I'm sorry, I've got a family to protect. We've been there, we've done it. Yeah.
Lindine, if you can maybe just share with us, when did your parents pass away?
My mum passed away in 2002, 18th of August. She died of cancer, which I think was brought on because they say anxiety and all that does do that. And my father passed away 2023, 22nd of July, which was just over a year ago, and he's not yet to see this. nearly 2 years ago.
And I'm sure that adds to
Yeah.
to the weight of all of
Mm.
this, your parents not being able
to be, yeah.
to see
Mm.
how justice is served.
Yeah.
Just to revert back to Zich Betzer,
Yes.
are you aware if Zich or his brother Dirk ever gave any statements?
You know, it's so funny because on one of the messages that Dirk sent us, he said to us that Zich wasn't even asked to make a statement. That's what he told us in one of the messages.
I'm going to move on to the time period where the Foundation for Human Rights intervened in this matter, and started assisting you in this investigation. What was your experience subsequent to that?
Luckily enough, we had Teresa Alderman, and she was just brilliant with the Spirals Trust, helping us along the way. I mean, that's the only help we had, really, was Teresa. We had no idea of legal things. We're laymen. We don't know anything. We don't know any better. We needed that assistance, and Teresa was there to help us all along the way. I mean, before that, as I said, we couldn't trust anybody. We couldn't go to anybody. We didn't know who do you go to. So, yeah, there was nothing.
Then there was a specific incident on 13 May 2022, which is the date
Yes.
of your brother's
Yes.
birthday, where you met with Captain Peterson.
Correct.
What happened on that day?
On that day, when I walked in the office, the first thing he said to me is, 99% sure it's Upla. And I said to him, no way. I'm going to try and convince you different. Anyway, and then he asked if we'd ever seen the files, and we said no. So we started going through the files and, reading a few things. And then I said, oh, yes, that guy was in that bar, and that one was in that bar, in what I've read. And he said to me, 2 bars? I said, yes, 2 bars. He said, oh, I thought there was only 1 bar. So that kind of got me a little bit, you're investigating and you haven't seen this, So I also went into one of the statements. I remember I think it was Bayman's. He had my brother's name written as Clyde. I said, this is incorrect. So we went through a few statements and looked at a few things.
But you didn't uncover anything that
No.
specifically helped you at that point
No,
in time?
not at that point, no.
Conclusion, what the last 30 years has been like for you.
Yeah. Okay.
And everyone around you.
The last 30 years, as I said, I've seen so many people commenting, why bring it up now? Why do this? And I keep on saying, how can you let go of something that you've lived with for 32 years, that you've never been able to get answers for, that you live with every single day of your life? You're living it every single day of your life. It's not bringing up anything fresh, really, because you live with it every day, because you haven't got any answers. You haven't heard anything. I'm sure my family, my 2 children and my husband must be mad with me because I need to find answers, and I think I make them crazy because I keep on talking about the Highgate. We've got to do this, and it's been my life the last 30 years, and I think all of us, it's been our life. We don't want it like that anymore. When we want some answers, we want to feel a little bit of relief, a little bit of closure, and yeah, it's been our life.
And you state that the process that you've gone through over the last 30 years brought about a lot of suspicions, overlooked evidence, maybe lost or tampered with.
Yes. And fear, because you don't know if someone's out there watching you. It's a lot of fear. And when you talk, you wonder, is someone going to come and do something to you? It's a lot of fear. But we had to do it ourselves because no one else would.
And this inquest naturally presents a very important opportunity,
Yes.
which you hope at least brings about a situation where you feel like it's been properly dealt with.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
My Lord, I think that is the conclusion of Lindine's testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lindine. I just want to thank you as well. It's
Thank you.
not easy to come and sit here. Like you said, it's not like you relive it,
Yeah,
but
you actually live it every day.
you live it every day. But still, it takes courage, and also a lot of courage to go on for as long as everyone involved in this matter did. Thank you very much for what you did today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Richard.
As the court pleases, my Lord.
Governor.
Thank you, Lord. I don't have many questions. I'll be very quick. Good afternoon,
What's your name?
Mrs. Page. Like I've indicated, Mr. Belling and Mr. Weber, I'm Devendra, I'm a prosecutor in this matter, assisting Ms. Bosman and Mr. Cole.
Okay.
First, on behalf of myself and NP, we'd like to extend our condolences not only on the loss of your brother, but also on the effect that that loss had on you and your family.
Thank you.
It is something that very few people will understand, and one can emphasize, have empathy with you, as well as sympathy with you and your families.
Thank you.
Like I indicated earlier, my job here is to ensure to assist this court, but also I'm not here to cross-examine you. I'm here acting for your brother as well as for your family as well. There's only one question that I want to clarify. You indicated that at some stage your belief about who had committed this offense changed from initially being Upload to this American, correct?
Yes.
And was that change as a result of the information that was given to your wife, Mr. Hals, during this meeting that he went to, or the people that he interviewed in Cape Town?
No,
How did you come to hear about the hammer?
I Googled. Sorry, but I Googled investigated.
And how?
With the
how
modus
did you-
operandi and the guns and the barriclavers and I just Googled modus operandi and I just read everything I could
So did you hear about the hammer squad before Mr. Hals had even told you all about it?
before it even told us.
And do you remember about when, or let me ask you, how long before Mr. Hals had confirmed this? I know it's a long time ago.
Yeah,
It's probably difficult.
It was it after the memorial service? I still found all I think we were watching Carte Blanche at my home that night. All the survivors came to watch Carte Blanche because not everybody had was it Mnet?
Mnet.
Yeah. And so they all came to my home to watch. I don't know if it was that particular time, but it was around about then. And I had done all the studying and I had printed it all out and I had highlighted it. And I showed Daryl. And he said, yes, this is what I've been thinking.
So you passed information to
Yeah.
him about,
Correct.
and that's when he started the
He said, yes,
investigation.
this is what I've been thinking. So it was like collaboration of the same thing.
And did he ever indicate to you that, this was on, if I'm not mistaken, the Mnet
Carte
story was around
Blanche,
2009.
2009, it could be
The
correct.
Carte
eh?
Blanche story
Yes.
was,
It's somewhere around there, yes. They'd come to the house and it was a meeting or it was Carte Blanche.
maybe it's around 2013 should be, I think it probably was around the anniversary, the 20th anniversary. So it might be around 2013.
Was it
Probably,
20th?
yes. But
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure it
I
was
might be
around
wrong with dates. Eh? It could have been one of our meetings we had. Because we had quite a few meetings at my house. All the meetings were done at my place.
there. Okay, no, that's fine.
Okay.
And then so was it based on that he then started this investigation into possibly then being involved?
No, he also said he kind of thought the same thing. So I'm not saying I told him it was them, but he was on the same sort of path as me with now thinking.
And did he ever give you the impression that whilst he was with the SAPS, he ever considered this avenue of investigation?
I'm sure I did recall him saying he knew there was something not right in the investigations. He knew there was something not right. I remember him saying that, I do.
And
Yeah.
did Mr. Hals ever indicate to you what was the delay whilst he was in the SAPS with this matter? Specifically,
Yeah.
if you consider I'm not sure if you were aware of it, but
Yeah.
obviously, if you look at what was asked of Captain
Yeah.
Peterson, from what one can see, there was a 2.5 year delay when Alf was the investigator for him to, he was specifically instructed to do an inquest,
Yeah.
and he never did that. Did he ever convey anything to you all as to
No.
why
I don't recall anything of that. No. No.
he never ever?
No.
Nothing further.
Thank you, Mr. President. Page, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That concludes your evidence.
Thank you. Judge.
Thank you for your assistance.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thank you. Sure.
My Lord, we are in possession of that photograph with the court's permission. May we recall Mr. Weber?
Very well. Mr. Weber, return.
Mr. Weber, I'm just reminding this commander.
Thank you, my Lord. My Lord, Captain Peterson had managed to obtain the photograph with the assistance of our colleagues. We managed to print it out. My Lord, I'm going to hand a copy of that picture to Mr. Weber.
Very well.
Mr. Weber, I wasn't in the NP in the 90s, but from what I remember from the police source, I might be incorrect as well, but the police boots were similar to this, but it might have been full blue instead of a black toy, what you see toy. My Lord, if I just could give a description for the record. The picture is of blue canvas boots, which is above the ankle and it's laced up. It is blue. And at the sole, it has a what looks like black leather that also covers the toe area, or rubber. Sorry, it could be rubber. I'm not sure if these boots look similar to the ones that you saw on that page.
Definitely not.
This
They're
is
not
not
the
the one.
same. No. They never had a black where your toes were. That wasn't black, and this seems to be a bit of a shiny blue. That was a more canvas blue, like a tent
dull.
structure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is definitely not them.
Can you just repeat, Mr. Weber, what is the difference?
The boots have got a black front where your toes are, which looks like a rubber place, which I don't recognize that. And if you look at the color of the boots, I would say with a slightly lighter color. This looks like a bit of a shiny color, maybe in the photo, but I think a canvas is more of a like a tent structure, not like this. It's a dull color, which it could be the photo in the picture. I'm not sure.
So, the boots that you were referring to, you say would have had a dull color.
A plain blue, and I can't remember them having a little bit of a heel. It looked like a flat structure. And definitely not, the color seems to be a little bit, I don't know, it seems a little bit darker. It's like a,
The color of the photograph is a little bit darker.
this is a bit of a darker color, yes.
Darker than this one.
Yes.
Very well. All right. Thank you.
My Lord, I think for recording purposes,
Yes.
I'll hand it out as Exhibit H. My learned colleagues has indicated, I'll just confirm with Mr. Weber that he is going to be present even next week, is my understanding. So we will continue to liaise with Captain Peterson, and should we get any other photographs, we will then recall
Thank you.
Mr. Weber to see if he can recognize them.
Very well.
I have nothing further.
Thank you. So that arrangement will suit you, Mr. Weber.
Thank you very much.
We need you again.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you for
Take
your
one
time.
moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My Lord, before the witness is excused, with the court's indulgence, may I can just one last point
Of
with
course. Sorry, Mr. Weber.
No problem.
it'll just be 1 minute, Mr.
Okay.
Weber. Mr. Weber, the projectile, the bullet that was removed from your arm, this is the one that shattered your elbow and resulted in the need to have your arm amputated. That bullet was removed. At the time, what did the doctors tell you needed to happen to that bullet?
Well, it was a couple of days or maybe a couple of weeks after I was shot. I asked him if I could sort of have the bullet, and just keep it. And he said no, it had to be taken into forensics, and it had to be checked out to see if it was part of the weapons they used at Highgate. And,
So your information was that the doctors advised you that that doctor had handed the bullet over to the investigating officer.
exactly.
And which investigating officer was that?
I wouldn't be known. They've never told me. I never ever heard from anybody.
Okay.
But I did know they'd said I couldn't keep it. It had to be handed over. So I never heard of it. It wasn't even in a statement or anything to say that it was sent in or given to someone.
And were you advised at any stage whether that bullet had been subjected to ballistic tests?
I never heard from anybody. I then heard that the bullet had disappeared. It wasn't on my statement.
It's certainly an aspect that we will have to take forward. We have looked through the docket and we see no reflection anywhere in the docket of that bullet, what happened to it, or whether it got tested. Lord, we will be submitting to your Lordship in due course that this is, in all probability, yet another major lapse in this investigation.
The bullet wasn't actually, it was lodged in my elbow. So it was actually taken out of, it's not that it went through this arm and it lodged in here. So it wasn't that it landed anywhere, not to be found. It was taken out of my elbow.
Yes, indeed. There should have been no reason why that bullet was not tested and no reason why it went missing. No further questions,
Thank you,
Madam.
Mr. Ronnie. Mr. Weber, did you understand that the bullet had disappeared?
Yes, it did, yes.
So at some later stage?
Some later stage, yeah.
Can you recall how that information came to your attention?
I think somebody went to the NPA offices in Pretoria, they're speaking in a correction here, and they had found a whole lot of files in the archive. And I think when we questioned Daryl, I could be speaking under wrong terms here, that there wasn't a bullet on my statement at all, which would have been in a little plastic bag, I would have thought, and stapled to the statement I'd given to the police, or after the doctors had taken the bullet out of me and then given it over.
So there was no reference in the statement, neither was there
Nothing.
a physical bullet available at that point?
Not that I knew of.
So I think that concludes.
My Lord, it just occurred to us that the witness had indicated that the boot in question was somewhat darker, and the printing that the attorneys did was of one blue-coloured boot and one looked like brown-coloured boot. And I wonder whether the copies of the brown-coloured boot should be put to the witness as well. They're actually sitting on the table of the NPA. Sorry? Well, he's mentioned that it was a darker colour. Lord, I've just been advised that it was a darker blue. If I may check with the witness.
Yes, very well.
With the boot, are you saying it was a darker blue colour or was it simply a darker colour?
I think it was a lighter colour, but if I could see that, it would give me an idea of the shape of the boot, but not the colour.
I see.
Because this boot's got a bit of a heel, and it's got the black rubber in front. And I mean, you know, if you saw the guys walking the street with this in daylight, you'd recognise the black straight away. This was a plain blue.
I think the second picture, I haven't studied it in detail myself, but it seems to be the same boot, but a different colour though, sort of greyish brownish.
I think on this here, it does look darker because I don't know if it's the photo, it's on this piece of paper, but it's not definitely not this.
Ms. Mane, you want to put the second photograph?
Well, my lord, since we have it, we may as well show it.
Yes, very well. Can you please just put that for the witness?
Now this has also got the black sort of rubber in front. It definitely wasn't a dark colour like this. Definitely not.
So you're confirming that it definitely wasn't a dark colour like this?
No, it was definitely no blue.
Thank you, Mr. Weber.
Thank you.
No further questions.
Thank you.
Sorry, not to make Mr. Weber carry on any further, but in respect of the last line of questioning regarding the bullet,
Yes.
just with the court's indulgence, there's just one aspect I just want to clear. Mr. Weber, do you remember, was the doctor who treated you, or Mr. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it, but Dr. Decadt, D-E-C-A-D-T? Do you remember?
From which hospital?
Freya.
No, I had orthopedic surgeons.
Was that the person who...
There were four of them. Kevin White, Dr. Bowes, Keith Watt, and Dr. Ellerton.
Do you remember who the specific doctor was who removed the...
No, I was, as I say, I was not in my right mind for about a week or so. But when I woke up, they just said the bullet had been taken. They had to hand it over to the police.
The reason I'm asking is from the... So, just to inform you, normally what happens is when a person is injured in any manner, a doctor is required to complete a medical legal form that's commonly referred to as a J88. And in this case, a statement was taken from this Dr. Decadt, and it's in Exhibit A, pages 10 to 14, where in his notes indicate no bullets were removed by him.
I don't even know who that doctor is. Never ever heard of him. My orthopedic surgeons were the guys I went back. If that was the guy that treated me, I never went back to this gentleman for after follow-ups.
It's possible he could have been the first doctor treating you
On the scene.
At the hospital. So when you arrive at the hospital, because according to him, he treated you on the day of the incident and around probably an hour after it. So I just do you remember approximately when? I assume this might have been a follow-up. What you're referring to with the orthopedic surgeon. Do you remember approximately when that? Not a specific day, maybe a month. Was it 1993, but around it?
Yes, I can't even remember leaving the fray.
So whilst you were still in hospital, so it probably, you're looking at May, when were you discharged from hospital?
I was transferred to St. Dom's because the specialists were on call all the time there, not with the Free Hospital. They were treating casualties and people are coming, but at St. Dom's, you could phone Dr. Bowes or somebody and they would come to you straight away. So I was taken down to St. Dom's Hospital so that I needed further treatment operation on my arm.
Is
But
that where the removal had taken place at St. Dominic's?
My arm was amputated at the Frey.
And the doctors you spoke to, was that at Frey Hospital or?
Well, I can't remember speaking to any doctors after losing my arm. As I say, I lost a lot of blood, so I can't remember from the night I went into the fray to the day I left the fray. I can't even remember being at St. Dom's, so I don't know who treated me.
No, no, Mr. Weber, what I'm asking you, the doctor who told you about, that you had the conversation about whether you could keep the bullet, was that, do you remember if that was at Frey Hospital or St. Thomas?
I think it was at St. Dom's.
And was that, you can't remember if it was in May or possibly
No.
January, but you think it was, and it was one of these 4 doctors that you had treated?
Yeah, but I think somewhere along the doctor's notes, it was, if I can remember correctly, said that the bullet was lodged in my elbow. It went through this arm and came out here. And I think if I can read correctly in the things, I was only hit with 1 bullet. And I still had my arm on. After 72 hours, my arm was amputated. And I can remember them saying some while after, it could have been a month or so after, that the bullet was lodged in my elbow. So if it was lodged in my elbow, I'm just saying that, assuming that it was still in there when they amputated my arm.
That you removed the bullet?
Yes. I was in bandages from here for months. I couldn't use my arm, so I can't tell you. But I was told that.
Oh, that's perfect, Mr. Weber.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As the court pleases. My Lord, just during the course of this week, we were given some papers from Mr. Weber that we're still going through, but we do have a letter which is dated 28 June 1993. It's addressed to Dr. Kevin Waite at Freo Hospital, East London, and it's from somebody by the name of David Bowers. It's quite a long letter, but of potential interest is the reference to a general surgeon, Dr. Comerly. And although David Bowers doesn't describe himself as a doctor, I'm assuming that he must have been one. Am I correct in saying that?
It's correct. He's an orthopedic surgeon.
Orthopedic surgeon.
He's still actually practicing. No, he's retired, but he was practicing for not so long ago.
Right.
So he refers to a general surgeon. Dr. Wick refers to a general surgeon.
Dr. N. Comerly, Comeley. I won't quote the whole letter just to save time, and we will make copies and hand this up in the morning, Your Lordship.
Yes.
Mr. Weber was assessed in theatre late evening, 1st of May 1993. The assessment revealed a gunshot wound, compound fractures, and the like. Then on the next page, surgical procedure. Under general anesthesia, the left elbow region was explored. The median nerve was found to be severed, as was the brachial artery. Now, there's no mention in here of a bullet. It's essentially explaining why the arm had to be amputated. But I think what we can try to do in cooperation with our colleagues is to approach Dr. David Bowers and Dr. N. Comerly, if they're available and alive, to ask them if they were involved in potentially removing a bullet from Mr. Weber.
Yes, very well. That is noted, Mr. Wali. So it appears as if there are more reports and information.
Definitely.
And those will be followed up, as Mr. Wali suggested, which might very well give some more clarity about this particular issue about the bullet.
Thank you.
So, let's leave it there for the moment, Mr. Weber.
Thank you very much.
So we might have to come back to you again.
No problem.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First, on behalf of myself and we'd like to extend our condolences not only on the loss of the girl, but also on the effect that that loss had on the family.
My Lord, in consultation with my learned friends from the state, they've indicated that they need to have
empathy with me.
a consultation in relation to the directions that your
Like I
lordship
indicated earlier,
gave.
my job here is to ensure that justice is court.
So with the leave of the court, we could adjourn now and we will call the first witness,
There's only
Teresa
one person
Altman,
that
first thing in the
I
morning.
want to clarify. You indicated that at some stage your belief about who had committed this offense changed.
Yes, my lord, we
From
arranged to have a virtual meeting this morning. Ready for that.
And was that change as a result of information that was given to you by Mr. House?
We should be able to
Meeting that he went to, the people that he interviewed, the
regards to
No.
this transfer.
How did you come to hear about
Set
that?
up a
Googled.
position for
Sorry, but I Googled investigation.
You will be.
And how?
With the modus operandi and the guns and the barrack robbers and I just Googled modus operandi and I just read everything I could.
So did you hear about the hammer before Mr. House had even told you?
Before I even told us.
And do you remember about when, or let me ask you, how long before Mr. House had confirmed this? I know it's a long time ago.
Yeah,
Probably difficult.
It was a memorial service. I still found all I think we were watching Carte
Look, we
Blanche.
also want to bring to your attention
That's
that
my
we
home that
have
night. All the survivors came to
received
watch
a
Carte Blanche.
communication from Letlapa Mshahlele,
Yeah, and so they all came to
former
my home to
commander,
watch. I don't know if it was that particular
and he
time, it was
indicates
around
to
about then.
my
And I had
attorneys
done all the
that
studying and I printed it all out.
he
and
has
I had
arranged with
highlighted
his Indonesian
And I
host. He's
showed
currently
them.
somewhere in Indonesia,
And he said, yes, I've been,
and they've altered his schedule to accommodate the inquest on February the 5th
Information to him about
between 1000 hours
when he
and
started
he
it.
said,
1200
yes,
hours South
this is what I've
African
been
time.
thinking. So it was like collaboration of the same thing.
So, my Lord, I believe
And
that's
he had
next
indicated to you
Wednesday.
So
If we
this
could
was, if I'm not mistaken, the Mnet,
pencil in
Sorry, it was around
the upper commander
2009.
for that time,
2009.
1000 hours on
Yes.
Wednesday morning.
It's somewhere around there, yes. They come to the house and it was a meeting or it was carte blanche.
maybe it's around 2013, it should be, I think it probably was around the anniversary, the 20th anniversary. So it might be around 2013, probably, yeah. But it's fine.
Yeah,
I'm sure it
I
was.
might be wrong with dates, eh? It could have been one of our meetings we had. Because we had quite a few meetings at my house. All the meetings were done at my place.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And then he, so was it based on that that he then started?
And to make sure things run smoothly, he's helpfully volunteered to do a
No, he
dry
also
run
said he kind of thought the same
with
thing.
us
So I'm not saying
sometime
I told him it was
Monday, so
them,
perhaps
but he was on the same
the
sort of path as me
could be
with
set
now
up.
thinking.
And did he ever give you the
On
impression
Monday,
that
so we
whilst
can
he
do a
was with
test run?
SAPS, if he ever considered
It's sensible.
this avenue of investigation?
I'm sure I did recall him saying he knew there was something not right in investigations. He knew there was something not right. I remember him saying that, I do.
And did Mr. House ever indicate to you
My Lord, one housekeeping
what was
matter,
the
I
delay
understand that
he
the
was CBS with this matter?
former appellate
Specifically,
Yeah.
prisoner will be
I'm
brought
not sure
to
if you
court
were aware,
tomorrow.
obviously, if you look at what was.
Our first witness is actually flying to Cape Town
From
at
what one could see,
3:30,
there was a 2.5-year delay
need to
when House was
complete her
investigating.
evidence during the course of the morning.
He was specifically.
We only estimated
Inquest.
being 30 to
And
40
he never did
minutes.
that. Did he ever convey anything to you all as to why
I don't recall anything like that, no.
he never,
No.
nothing further?
Thank you, Mr. Governor. We scheduled to start earlier tomorrow. So commence at 9 o'clock. Commence proceedings at 9 o'clock. Ms. Page, thank you very much. No later than lunch. That concludes your evidence. So, thank you for your assistance and best of luck. All these logistics political issues could be arranged around those times. So that, I don't know if you're going to be able to see the Kamasana in the morning, before we could make whatever.
Judge, we have already requested, the order was given by the AJP to have him brought tomorrow, and we've requested him to be brought at 8:30. So we should at least have an indication as to what his intentions will be when we start at 9.
No, that'll work out. No, thank you. All right. So I leave those issues in your hands. And I'm going to adjourn the proceedings now. And we will reconvene tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.